yeah. Go. Amazing. That's my boy. That's my boy.
He breaks away from a sack and completes the pass for first down.
Oh, Kittle just may have made the most amazing catch.
He fights for the first down and gets out of bounds too.
It's no good.
Overtime.
Oh, what a catch. How do you drop that? What are you, Jamal Adams? Touchdown.
This is a touchdown all the way.
He reached over the pylon. San Francisco beat Cincinnati. What's this? It's called a win. It's called a victory. We put up 40 points. It even made my cold feel better. But without hesitation, we need reactions. So let's bring in the man. Fast-growing channel. Shake, drinks a lot of caffeine. But he has the cutest baby in the world! Talking Jets with Ego.
Oh, victory, boys. And it's not just the fact that we won, it's how we won. To put 40 on the Fins after all of that talking, after all of the chirping, after all of the media people. We're supposed to be 0-9. I don't know if people remember this. We're not supposed to have a win, let alone be above 500 and putting up 40 on the Fins. Let's go.
Yep. Nearly won my bet, but the Jets would have, if Zach had 5 more yards, oh, man. And one more special recent Correa would have been sitting real nice. Yeah, there's some people who had parlays that really look good. But, man, Bryce Hall, I haven't looked, but definitely helped my fantasy teams today. No question about that.
Michael Carter having those 2 touchdowns absolutely annihilated me in my fantasy because somebody against me has him.
It feels very good to play complimentary football. I agree. The defense had me worried in the first half. The end of the first half, there was some frustration. But you know what? We gave up the field goal in the third quarter, and then our defense just lights out.
Came alive.
Lights out. It was beautiful. Completely beautiful. We got Jets 830. What's up, man? If you smell what the Jets... Hold on. Are cooking. Okay. Hank G. What's going on, Hank? Good to see you. Our man across the pond, Phil Adams. Still eating a pie made from dolphin hearts. I love it. And Yoitzvin in the house. Let's go, man. Let's go. This is great. It's a great day, man. This
Fantastic.
is what victory feels like. So I got a cold up. I got to cough it up. So I'm going to start coughing. So Tigo, I'm going to go on mute and let you talk about your reaction to the game. What are the things you liked?
I think, like, with this game, like, anybody who knew anything about the Jets and did their videos leading up to the Jets game, I think we all kind of mentioned very similar things, which is like our offense obviously needs to get going, and it very clearly did, right? To beat a team like Miami, we're going to need to get into a shootout because we all thought, I guess incorrectly, we all thought and believed that their wide receiver duo in Miami was going to be lethal. And that our defense was going to need to step up. But apparently, Miami's not that hard to beat. I don't understand what happened with Buffalo. But the way that I'm looking at it is if the Dolphins beat the Bills, just barely beat the Bills, and we blew out the Dolphins, does that make the Jets better than the Bills? Has to, right? Because of associative properties. How that works. We also beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers just lost to the Bills. I don't know. But, like, it's just huge games. Sauce and his first interception today. Lawson coming in huge with that strip sack in the end for Quinnen Williams to stiff arm the crap out of Tyreek Hill. Breece Hall becomes the second running back in New York Jets history to not only rush for 100 yards, but to receive for 100 yards. And my favorite stat from the whole game is that we put up 40 points without scoring a single throwing touchdown. Every single one of our touchdowns was rushed in.
Yeah.
There's so many good things from this game. So many things to be happy about. So many things to be excited about. Just, it's a great game.
It really really was a special day. Near the end of that third quarter and that fourth quarter was something that I haven't felt in a long time. It's hard to even remember the last time I felt like that. I mean, it was just what a spectacular game. So many things to celebrate. First of all, I just want to point out, just to back up my tweet, it's the second time in a row people kind of try to act like I didn't know what I was talking about. First I said a couple of weeks ago, I went out there and I said to protect Zach, they should put AVT at left tackle. People said I was nuts. I was wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. And they did. And then about 4 days ago, I put out a tweet saying, look for AVT, look for him to be at right tackle. And it's exactly what they did. So I'm going to collect some receipts. I'm going to go back to my video. I'm going to collect some receipts. Just saying, had to point that out. I'm feeling good about how I'm feeling like I'm in touch with the coaches now, what they're thinking. But it was nice, and so now this is going to be sour grapes now. You're saying relax. No, I'm not going to relax because of course I'm going to celebrate. You're saying depleted, right? But here's the thing, Daniel, and let's be honest. I'm not talking about you personally. Nobody gives us an inch of empathy. Not an inch, right? They laughed at us. Joe Flacco was playing. Oh, excuses. Last year, Carl Lawson goes down. Becton goes down. Excuses. No Dolphin fan gave us empathy. You rubbed it in our face. You didn't acknowledge any of our injuries. And by the way, 3 of the top Miami Dolphin YouTube content providers wanted this quarterback in the game. They wanted it. So you got the quarterback that your guys wanted. They said it on that show. I watched it with Richie and them. They said, we don't want Bridgewater. We want this kid, Skylar. You wanted him. So I'm not going to relax. You're not going to come here and tell me I can't celebrate my team. We're not talking about anything other than this game. Of course, we're not going to relax. Who are you to tell me to relax? We were 2-14, 4-13, and now we're 3-2. I'm going to relax? No, this is not the place to come to expect us to relax. No one said anything disrespectful about your Dolphins, at least not out of the two of us. We're talking about what the Jets did. We're talking about being excited for our season, right? So no one disrespected you. Don't tell me to relax. My team is 3-2 after hell. We have been miserable for years. We're not going to relax.
And the NFL is doing everything in their power to continue to make us miserable, because then you're going to give us what? The AFC North in our first 4 games. And then you have a Miami team coming off of 10 days of rest. And now we're going to have the only break that the NFL schedulers gave us is the fact that we get to play at Green Bay after London. That's the only thing that we can possibly look at. And the thing is that's all excuses. I haven't even read the comment yet, but all I'm seeing from that is it's excuses. It's excuses. It's excuses. It's excuses. Because all week, all we heard from Dolphins fans, you can look it up on Twitter. I've got receipts. You can look it up on Twitter. Oh, it doesn't matter. Teddy Two Gloves is going to put up a bunch on the Jets. They might as well start the 3rd string quarterback so that we can see what the rookie has. He was a star for us. Oh, it doesn't matter. Dude, you're not depleted on offense. You still had Tyreek Hill. You still had Jalen Waddle. You still had Mike Gesicki. And we kept all 3 of those guys under 100 yards. All 3. Tyreek Hill's the yards after catch guy, right? Shouldn't you just be able to get him in motion? So no, I'm not going to sit here and accept that you guys played a 3rd string quarterback. I don't care. We did that last year. Just like New York Jets fans have said, we played a 3rd string last year and beat the Super Bowl, the eventual Super Bowl team that was the Cincinnati Bengals. We played Joe Flacco, who, in my opinion, isn't good enough to be a backup anymore. I think he's just a little too old. And we put up 31 on the Browns. So it's just all excuses, man. We're talking about, look, respect to the Dolphins and going out there and fighting and playing with the 3rd string quarterback. And I really like McDaniel and what he did there. But to come in here with all of that talk and all of the excuses and stuff, no, you play the game that's in front of you. That's it. You prep and you build depth and you do all of those things. Don't act like the last 4 weeks, the Jets haven't been depleted at almost every single important position on the football team. So I ain't going to take that. I'm not going to take that here, especially from a Finns fan. Well, not going to happen.
Nobody's running around saying, oh, that's it. It's official. The Jets have passed the Dolphins and we're better than the Dolphins. Nobody even said that. Right? The point is why are we going to not celebrate? Even if okay, they had a third string quarterback. I don't care who we play. Pittsburgh is having a horrible year. I celebrated when we beat Pittsburgh.
The Pittsburgh Steelers hold the first overall pick as of right now.
The Jets have won 6 games in the last 2 years. The 2 seasons before this. It doesn't matter who we're playing or if they're bad or if they're good. We're not at that point. We're not sitting here in our must-win, built-to-win this year's Super Bowl year. We are a rebuilding team. In the second year of this regime with with Robert Saleh, we're just happy that we won a game, that we're winning. Okay, so hey, if Dolphin fans are saying, well, you should have won that game, we had a third-string quarterback, fine. But you don't understand where we're coming from. We haven't won games that we should win.
That's so long.
Right. That's the problem. The point is, even if that's the reason, even if it's, third-string quarterback, your team is banged up. I said it even all week long. I was saying we have a chance here. The Dolphins are banged up. Fine. The point is the Jets finally did what they were supposed to do. Am I sitting here? I'm not going to worry about when we go into Miami now because it's way too soon for that. We got a whole bunch of other games. That's going to be a lifetime from now. I'm not saying anything about what's going to happen in the future or what's going to happen when we play the Dolphins in Miami. And then, they'll have a chance to get back at us. But for right now, we're going to celebrate this.
Hell yeah. Victory Mondays.
Enjoy this win.
Hell yeah. My favorite part of the game, right, like in the win, is I hope that Teddy's okay. Let me start by saying that. You hate to see when a player goes down. I hate it because – one, I didn't want to give the Dolphins fans an excuse, but you hate to see a guy go down with an injury. But the thing for me is, even with all of that, not a single person on the NFL game preview of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people that they ask for their predictions, not a single one of them, not one, predicted the Jets to win. And a lot of these guys had the Jets losing by a lot, like a lot. MJD 20-10. That's a two possession game. We came out and we said, no, we are not the same old Jets. This team isn't going to do the thing where we play down to our opponents. No, we're going to play our game and we're going to go out there and we're going to win the way that we want to win. And honestly, that my biggest thing is it's not just winning, it's how you win.
No, it's and I like what you said before, and what people are saying in the chat is, you can't take away anything from what our offense was able to do. You can't deny or say there was injuries was the reason why Breece Hall shined the way he shines. Breece Hall shined the way he shined because Breece Hall is a special player. So I'm not feeling, the only reason Breece Hall did well was because we're playing against a depleted Miami team. That's not the truth at all. Breece Hall today was like a second part 2 of his coming out party. This guy is special.
I feel like this was his coming out party.
Yeah.
This was him letting the league know, hey, New York Jets are legit. I'm a real running back.
Yeah. I mean, he'll hurt you with the pass. He'll hurt you with the run. It doesn't matter. The Jets now have a special player where at any moment he could break a big one. And then Garrett Wilson, man, the yards after catch, what he does after he catches the ball.
Oh,
they got to get him in more, and they got to get the ball to him more. But if he's a decoy and the team and defenses are having to focus a lot on him, if that's going to open up Corey Davis, if it's situations like that, I'm not going to complain. But man, when there are opportunities, we got to get the ball to Garrett Wilson because he is a magician when the ball gets into his hands. He's
Mike LaFleur. In one of my videos that I did earlier this week, leading up to this game, one of the things that I talked about was I think we need to run the ball effectively and heavily. Because if we can run the ball effectively and heavily, we can try and start to take advantage of the fact that this is a really, really hurt secondary in Miami, right? They have both of their starting corners out. And we did that, right? We ran 33 times for 135 yards. But the big thing for me that I also mentioned was in a game where we're very clearly the better talent on the outsides, on the offensive side of the, like on our offense versus their defense. I'm not saying like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are excellent. I'm saying when it's our offense versus their defense, on the outsides, we're better, right? With Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Brees Hall, Michael Carter, Elijah Moore, Tyler Conklin. So we had better. And I said, what I want to see from this team when we're throwing the ball is I want us to spread the ball out to a bunch of different receivers. Make this defense have to defend 5 across every single time because they don't know who the favorite target is. And we did exactly that. Not one receiver or pass catcher had more than 4 targets this game. Not one. Now, that being said, we only threw the ball 21 times. That's what happens when you lead, right? You run the ball more. But I love that. When you see from your pass catchers and from your offensive coordinator and from your quarterback play calling that's distributing the ball effectively to all of our playmakers, you love to see it. And here's another great stat, right? Brees Hall got targeted twice in the receiving game. He caught the ball twice, and he had 100 receiving yards. Out of this world. God, you got to love Brees Hall. And everybody who complained that we traded up, I'm going to give credit where credit is due because that was a comment from Gunny. And he was like, for all the people that complained about trading a 5th round pick to go get Brees, yeah, that aged super well. That's a great tweet.
Yeah. I mean, look, 0 picks for Wilson. You know, people are going to come in and say he didn't play that great. There's still going to be the Zach critics out there. They're going to say, what did he really do? Well, what have we been talking about? What is the educated fan talking about? What we need from Zach this year is progress.
Yep.
He doesn't have to be a superstar. He has to show progress. I can't imagine how anybody could look at the past 2 games and not see the progress. Yeah, he had the 2 picks last week. One of them was really not his fault. One of them was a bad pass into the end zone. This week he comes in. He doesn't throw any picks against a tough Miami defense, a defense that's known to cause turnovers. He doesn't make any big mistakes like that. He protected the ball. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He made the plays when he needed to make them. Again, he came alive in the 4th quarter when he needed to. He did everything we could expect him to do. The run to the end zone was badass. His rushing touchdown was badass. And let me tell you something. That reminds me, and I'm not comparing him and saying he's going to be him. I hate when people get all nuts about that. But it reminds me a lot about the flashes of Josh Allen and the progression of his career. Because I remember the first game of the year, he wasn't that good, but he had some flashes. And then I remember the next year, he started making some crazy runs into the end zone. These crazy running plays where he'd take off and score. And it was really impressive. And he started to look better and throw less picks, not tons less, but, you know, and it's like the same kind of thing. We're seeing this progression. We're seeing this improvement. Do I know that Zach's the answer right now already? No. And I'm not making that claim. But has he taken a step so far? Am I happy and seeing progression and improvement from this quarterback? Absolutely. And I think there's tons of evidence to back that up. What do you think, Tigo?
Give me 1 second. I think you're absolutely right. But I think one of the things that, like you even said, but I want to highlight a little bit even further is you said, and I agreed with you on everything that you said. We saw him protect the football, throw the football into smart places, not throw bad balls that might be intercepted. Like he played safe. He tried to put balls in positions where only his receivers could catch it. But here's the thing that I think was really, really important for me is one, what was the stat that everybody talked about that we wanted to see from Zach? The most important stat going into this year, completion percentage. He completed 66% of his passes. And that's, I think everybody was, I said 67 is where I wanted him to be. So he's 1% short, but he completed 66% of his passes today. But for me, I think the biggest jump is look at the difference from last week in Pittsburgh to this week in his passing game, specifically in the short and intermediate balls. How many times it was like in back-to-back plays where he gets the ball to Breece Hall and to Garrett Wilson in the flats, where he throws that ball and those guys get it and they can go and bust up the field for 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. In the case of Breece Hall, it was like a 40-yard run, you know? And so it's the small things where we saw from this New York Jets team where we were giving up big chunk plays because of mistakes from our young quarterback, and he's starting to fix those mistakes. We're no longer seeing him rush the process and throwing it to the flats. He's playing smart. He's trying to put balls in positions where only his receivers can catch it. I think a great example of this was the Elijah Moore ball where he threw it a little bit short. You could tell what he was trying to do. He was trying to get Elijah Moore to come back down on the ball and catch it close to the ground so that there was no opportunity, one, for his wide receiver to take a big hit up the middle of the field, but two, so that there was no chance of him throwing an interception. Now, he threw it maybe 2 or 3 yards a little too short, but Elijah Moore still almost got there. Growth and progression. That's what we're seeing from Zach. And I think we have to give credit as well to this offensive line and Mike LaFleur on being able to, like, one, Dwayne Brown comes in, and man, was I wrong. I didn't want to sign Dwayne Brown. I thought he was old. I didn't have faith in him. I wanted to go with somebody younger. In one game, he came in and played exceptionally well. And I was originally also against the idea of playing Elijah Vera Tucker at right tackle. I'm going to give you my receipt, Jeremy. You were absolutely right. Playing this offensive line, and I think Buffalo said it perfectly, you have to play your best 5 players. And that's what the New York Jets did today. They just said, here's our best 5 offensive linemen, and they played it. And Miami's pass rush is really good. And we were able to only let Zach get sacked twice. I think it was twice, right?
Yep.
Yeah. He only got sacked twice. And one of those was kind of his fault.
Yeah.
Right. And so overall, I'm just really, really, really happy with a lot of aspects of this game, but specifically that we're seeing from week to week, the growth in Zach Wilson.
Yeah. Now, Dylan, we're hoping that Buffalo's going to join us. He's doing everything he can. He told me when he said to run the show that he's going to be running late. He had things to do or friends or something was going on. But
it's a wedding.
But I know he's trying to get on to the show. I know he's gonna try to show up. So because it was a Sunday afternoon wedding, right?
Yeah.
So he should. There's a good chance he'll get on. So we're hoping he does. We're hoping to hear from him. I wanted to shout out to Spence GC. He joined me and my brother during a watch party when we were doing the Denver game. He's a Broncos fan, cool dude. Good to see you back, my friend. And of course, Clutch, our local Kansas City Chief fan, also stumbled upon us once at a game. Breece Hall's phenomenal, right? I mean, now there's a Kansas City Chief fan taking notice. So we're going to have other teams start to admire our players the way we looked at other teams and said, why can't we have toys like that to play with? Well, guess what? Now we're becoming that team. We're starting to have special guys. Again, it's just amazing that Miami fans are talking about injuries now. Because, again, there was no leniency on us. There was no empathy. The injuries that we had to deal with last year, and they laughed at us and said we're a joke, and they rubbed it in our face. You got to stop blaming the injuries. Yes, everybody knows we were playing a not healthy Miami team. We still did what we needed to do. And that says something for the Jets, because for the last 5 years, the Jets still would have lost.
Yeah.
Didn't matter that the other team had injuries. We would still lose. Yep. The point is, we were able to take advantage and win.
Yep.
Nobody's saying that we've passed Miami or we're better than Miami. Miami is 2 years ahead of us on this rebuild. In their rebuild, they got rid of Gase 2 years before we took them after, and they've been rebuilding and making trades ever since. And Miami's built up a very nice roster, and we're going to have.
And they're very hurt,
right? They're very depleted. We're going to have a very difficult time going into Miami, but that doesn't mean we're not going to enjoy now.
Yep.
Because we did what we were supposed to do. Last year, we didn't. Last year, we won. We had an opportunity to maybe save the season. We went over to London, and we lost to an Atlanta team that we should have beat. But this year, We played a team because they were depleted at home that we should win and did. And that's the point.
It's a big deal.
Right. It's a
We
big
didn't suffer
deal
from
for
the
us.
Mike Tomlinitis, right? Where you hear it for years that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers played down to their opponents. And the Jets didn't do that.
Right.
The Jets went out there and they did what they were supposed to against a team that was depleted. Right? And even with the team being depleted, that didn't change people believing in the Jets. The Jets were still the underdog going into this game, I believe. The betting underdog.
Miami Dolphin fans were coming into me and the stream with Green Bean and I in the first half talking trash. You nervous? You nervous? They were talking trash. They were coming in to our stream to be trolls. And now, I mean, it wasn't Daniel because Daniel's not like that. He's not a troll. So I'm not implying that Daniel would ever do that. But I'm saying is plenty of Dolphin fans did that. And we're being much bigger gentlemen.
Yeah, we're celebrating our win.
We're being much bigger gentlemen. No one is saying crap about the Dolphins. No one's saying the Dolphins are overrated. Everyone is acknowledging that the Dolphins are depleted and on their third string quarterback. It doesn't mean we're not going to celebrate the Jets winning.
And to be fair here, right? Just to kind of counteract and just be a little jerk, just a little bit, like a tiny teensy win, a bit of a jerk. Doesn't matter that you're on your third string quarterback because Bailey Zapp, the third string quarterback on a far worse team than both the Miami and the Jets in the New England Patriots, just went and put up 29 on the Detroit Lions. He put up 29. So again, but don't come at me with, oh, we're a hurt team. Oh, we were starting our third string quarterback. Oh, you play the team and the game that's in front of you. And you play the game to win unless you're a Lovie Smith coached team. Then you're playing for a first overall pick, right? And that being said, the New York Jets did that. We went out there and we played excellent football at all three levels of the team. And I'm going to give some love here. Jedi Knight of the 13th Order of Gotham mentioned it earlier. Let's talk about the special teams.
Just saying his name is the best.
Absolutely. But special teams did out of the dude. That punt, was it Hardy that caught the punt there right at the end? Like at the 4-yard line or whatever?
Eccles. That was Eccles.
Was it Eccles? Oh, God, I love Eccles. Yeah. That's a receipt that I'm hitting because remember how I got absolutely ridiculed for saying Eccles is the backup corner. Bryce Hall should be traded away. We don't need Bryce on this team. Eccles is that dude. There's a couple of receipts that I got. The Max Mitchell receipt, the Brandon Eccles receipt. I'm holding on to those.
And you should. And this, I love it when people like Daniel's saying there's a breakdown in coverage with Breece Hall's cut. Look, did you watch?
It happens.
It happens. There's breakdown in coverages. But how many times have you seen and been frustrated with a player because there's a breakdown and you don't take advantage of it?
Dude, we were ready to punt the Marcus Joyner to the moon.
I mean, the reality is, Breece Hall was magical. When he got to like the 12-yard line, there were two guys on him and he carried them to the one. What a huge difference. Because if you go down at the 10-yard line, almost more than half the time, you're going to have to settle for a field goal. But by getting to the 1 yard, he set us up for a touchdown. You can't take anything away from Breece Hall. There's no logical way. It's like, anytime a player has an amazing game and they go off, you can point out to where the defense screwed up. Of course. But look what he did with those mistakes. There's no way to watch that game and not know that Breece Hall is amazing. Is amazing.
He's a dude. He's a gamer, man.
Yeah.
He's a legit running back.
He doesn't go down easy.
My mom, my parents are ministers and my dad was preaching at his church. So to support him, we went to go over there. And obviously we have the baby and we have to put him to sleep every 2 hours. So I watched the first half of this game at my parents' house, put it up on their TV, and I was watching with them. My mom, who knows nothing of football, saw Breece Hall get two guys on his back and carry them 18 yards to the 2 or to the 1. And my mom goes, "Oh my God, that guy's so strong. You're not supposed to be able to do that. And I go, Mom, you're absolutely right. You're not supposed to be able to do that. That kid is absolutely strong. Like, dude, they're like my wife, again, who doesn't know much about football at all, can watch this team and go, wait, you keep talking about this. Isn't that number one kid Sauce? And I was like, she's like, yeah. I go like, yeah, of course. And she goes like, wow, that kid is like, you're absolutely right. He's just built differently. You shouldn't be that tall and that long and that fast. And he plays really well, I think. And I was like, yeah, babe, you have a good evaluation. Like, we finally, on both sides of the football, I'm going to say it. I was going to take it. I was going to backpedal a little bit on my take. No, I'm going to say it. We, for the first time in a long time, on both sides of the football, have potential superstars. Sauce is a potential superstar. Breece Hall is a potential superstar. Garrett Wilson is a superstar in the making. Zach Wilson, potential. Like, we've got guys now where we can legitimately hang our hats up on and say, these are the guys. Elijah Vera Tucker. Can't not disrespect him. Probably the best player we have on offense right now.
AVT, yeah. I mean, he's a superstar. He's a superstar right now. He is.
Yes, he's the best player on offense.
Superstar. He's right. You're right. I mean, look, he played quality play at left tackle. He was dominating at guard. Then he moves over to right tackle where he's never played, and he played very well today. Or we'll see the numbers, but I mean, it didn't appear to be a weakness for us today. So this is a special guy. This is a special guy. Phil Adams, what's up, brother? You're right. AVT puts the T in team.
There's a lot of good players on this team. And I'm going to say sorry. I want to publicly say sorry to a New York Jet. I had the audacity to make a video this week about possibly not benching, but taking away snaps from a certain player this week. Carl Lawson, I want to formally apologize for all of the bad things that I said. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I'm happy that you're on this football team. Thank you for the strip sack, because now I can go to sleep tonight thinking about Quinnen Williams stiff-arming Tyreek Hill. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Thank you, Thomas Cahill, for the super chat. With a clean OL, we can compete with everybody. No spin. Can you imagine?
Yes.
Not only do we have Fant coming back, but then, so it's like every couple of weeks something will happen, right? So a couple of weeks, maybe next week, I don't know when, 2 weeks, Fant comes back. Now you have options. Move AVT back to guard, you move Fant in. Then a couple of weeks later, the bye comes, and then Max Mitchell comes back. And now what happens? Because Max Mitchell, we don't know. We got to look at how Fant is playing. If his knee's still not good, if he's not looking good, Max Mitchell did nothing to lose that job. But the point is, look at the depth we will have, because you'll be sitting there with Dwayne Brown. You're sitting there with Fant. Then you have Max Mitchell, who proved to be a legitimate starter in the NFL. And then you have this option of rotating AVT in an emergency. So suddenly we're going to go back to a point where we have depth in the offensive line. And that's going to be really nice.
And I think this is a very, 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 very underrated opinion here, which is if Elijah Vera Tucker keeps playing well at tackle, right? And which I didn't think he was going to do. Not because I don't like Elijah Vera Tucker. I just didn't think he had the body for it. But boy, am I wrong. But if if AVT continues to play well at tackle, and Max Mitchell is coming back, right? The question now has to be asked, beyond this year, do we have our tackles moving forward? Nate Herbig has played exceptionally well. Is this another guy that Joe Douglas, who was an offensive line guru, this is what we were sold on him. He knows offensive and defensive linemen, right? Is Nate Herbig going to end up being another guy that we find off of the waiver wire and out of the scrap heap, bring in, and then next year we have our offensive line? We don't have to go spend big money on a left tackle. We don't have to waste a high draft pick on a left tackle. Is it a possibility that now moving forward, our offensive line can literally just be Elijah Vera Tucker and Max Mitchell on the outsides? That's a serious conversation because that saves us from having to go draft or sign an offensive tackle. And I never thought that that was an option. And Elijah Vera Tucker has made it an option. And that's great for him. If I'm him, I'm pushing to play tackle even when Fant gets back.
Yeah, AVT is giving us a lot of options. And you're right. I didn't even think of that. Outside of just this year, even looking forward into the future. Oh, my God. Because he's a potential Pro Bowl tackle. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so now you're talking about what if Becton comes back and plays, amazing. So does that mean, we're going to, because Becton's still a possibility. He might come back, stay healthy and be a very good tackle, right? Does that mean we're not going to sign Fant? Now, look, if the argument, I understand why we like Fant. Okay, played very well last year. I like George Fant. But if he wants 15 to 18 million or whatever, if he asks for that kind of number, AVT moving to tackle makes sense with the help Becton coming, Mitchell. So you have Max Mitchell, you have Becton, you have AVT, you have 3 guys in the mix. You have
Dwayne Brown is signed for next year as well.
Second year. So you have guys in the mix. I can't see spending 15 to 17 million on Fant. I just can't see it. It doesn't make any sense to do that.
No. Absolutely.
So,
and I was looking at, when I was going through that thing in my head, I was looking at as Becton as the backup. Yeah. He hasn't played in 2 years. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. He's going to play for this team. He has the potential. But, there's a lot of really good options. And the other thing that people don't know either is Max Mitchell can also play guard. So if Elijah Vera Tucker comes out, shows up and shows out at right tackle, and we look at Max Mitchell and we want him on this, we can bump him into right guard. It's that positional flexibility that Joe Douglas loves. I think I was watching the Green Bean stream that you guys were talking about. In the end, I think you and you just said it as well, Jeremy. I think you said it perfectly. The New York Jets, who were incredibly hurt, knock on all the wood, going into this year at one specific position, is now starting to get healthy at that position. Because we're going to get the guys that we lost back. And that doesn't include the fact that we also went out and got guys to compete for that job as well. Yeah. And what was a weakness is slowly but surely turning into a strength. Yeah. And I want to give massive props specifically to Dwayne Brown, because I didn't know this with his injury, and they announced it on the broadcast today. But did you know that Dwayne Brown's injury to his shoulder was something that he was potentially going to have surgery for that would have knocked him out for the year? Yeah. And he opted not to have the surgery, rehab it to get it strong enough so that he could play, because he wanted to play this year for the New York Jets.
I love it, man. I love the character of this team, the people that we've brought in. It's amazing. Vinny, I want to say Chioki. Right? Because it could be it could be Kioki, or it could be Chioki. But I'm doing the best I can. No disrespect. I want to respect you. I appreciate your super chat. Very, very kind of you. I appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. I haven't met you before, so let's give him a big old welcome, everybody.
And Quan was the super chat.
Yeah, and thanks for the super chat. Quan was the most underrated offseason pickup on this team.
Yep.
I agree.
I'll hand in my receipt on that one. I was so anti-Quan, and now I'm ready to hand him a massive extension. Not a massive, but you get what I'm saying. Now I'm ready to extend him now. I was having this conversation with Buffalo Jet fan through text about, how many games do you need to see out of Quan before we extend him?
Yeah. He's been absolutely fantastic. Everybody was still waiting and hoping that Buffalo's going to join. So we're still hopeful that he will. I don't want people to think I false advertised. I didn't. We had to move it onto my channel because he was at a wedding today. We're hoping that he can chime in. So if he doesn't, we apologize. But, Buffalo, him. He'll be back online soon. But there is a chance still that he'll come. And we are hoping for that. So let's move on to blue and yellow blood. Do the math. Oh, blue and yellow is green. The best of the last 2 games, Zach isn't turning the ball over. Yes, I agree.
Yes.
He has one interception that I'll consider a real turnover, that it was a mistake. even though it wasn't as bad as it looked. I think some people pointed out it wasn't as ugly and horrible as we initially thought. It was a legitimate turnover. The other one out of Conklin's hands, I just can't put that on Zach. And then today,
From what I saw, not even a turnover-worthy play.
Yeah.
Like,
he protected the ball.
Yep.
Most of his incomplete passes were getting rid of the ball. He was under pressure. There was like there was one pass definitely low, but nothing that bad. So I want to call out Mess, member of the channel. By the way, thank you for the super chat, blue and yellow. You don't think he'll ever come back? We'll see. I'm not convinced he'll never come back. Yeah,
but I'm not banking on it either. That's the big thing with Becton. We're not banking on Becton coming back. Yeah. That's the big thing. We don't need him to come back, play a massive role for us to be good. We've got options now, and that's what I think is super exciting.
Right. It puts us in a position where it would be a bonus if Becton came back.
Exactly.
Like it would be but it's not something we have to stress out over anymore. Daniel, yeah, I got you. You're being more. Yeah, that makes sense. We should keep these uniforms. Yeah, man. I'm liking these uniforms.
I don't like the black pants, man. It just seems like they're coming out of PJs. I want the all whites. I love the all white. The white on white for me is
Chiachi.
Oh, there it is. Very good.
Okay, good. Now we know. Thank you for giving me the phonetical spelling. That helps me. I always appreciate that. In my job, I have to read out the lines of the week in my school for the kids, like, for each classroom, who's the star of the week. And I love the teachers who write the names of the kids phonetically so I could read them out. Chiachi. I like it.
I think this is a great I'm trying to find it. It's a great stat that I saw about the New York Jets in their fourth quarter and how dominant the New York Jets are in the fourth quarter. Oh, here it is. The New York Jets have outscored teams 79-20 in the fourth quarter. That's an average of 16 points for and 4 points against, or plus 12 every single fourth quarter. And then I'll give credit where credit is due again. And this is a little bit of it's a little facetious, but also a little bit true. But the Jets should play fourth quarter football like all the time. And that's from U Stadium. They made that tweet. I'll give credit where credit is due. But something's happening in like that second and the third quarter with the New York Jets offense where we're falling flat. Imagine if we kept chugging effectively all four quarters. And I know that's a very difficult ask, but we just put up 40 in essentially two quarters, right? The first and the fourth quarter. We did nothing for an entire half of football, the second and the third quarter. If we can stay productive, getting 3 points here, 3 points there, a touchdown here in that second and the third quarter, man, this team can really go places.
Hey, Canarsie, is Becton too big to play guard?
Yes.
Yes, and not only that, but if Becton could get healthy, if he's healthy, if the knee is stable, and if he makes weight, and he gets down, I think he needs to get down to like 330, 340, honestly. If he can get down to that weight, if he does it, if he pulls it all together, it's not an attack on him. I'm just simply stating a fact. If he can do all of that, he'll be too good and valuable as a tackle to put at guard anyway. So
before he got hurt, Mekhi Becton was playing as a top 10 tackle in the league. It's naive and just a bad option to where if Mekhi Becton is healthy and if the knee is stable and if he's healthy, and there's a lot of ifs there, but that's on him now to get those ifs under control. If he can get all those things done, him at right tackle or like him at left tackle is a bigger positive than Elijah Vera Tucker at tackle. Because I think I look at it like Elijah Vera Tucker is a perennial All-Pro Pro Bowl guard, and he's a really, really good tackle. And so if you can tell me we can get elite play from both of those positions and all of that stuff, that would be my option. Adam, how we feeling after that one, boy?
Watch K99 is in the house.
What? Did something happen today? What's going on?
Don't start with me, dude.
Oh, man, I guess I tuned in late to hear the explanation. Jeremy got completely whacked. Oh, my goodness. There is nothing left to say. I would just like to say one thing, and I would like to address somebody who is a very good football player, and that's about all I can really say. Tyreek Hill, I really hope while you're counting the tax money that you saved by living in the state of Florida, don't forget to look at the scoreboard from today and then decide if you made the right decision by going to Miami instead of the New York Jets. You know what, Tyreek? We don't need you because we know how to draft. We know how to find talent. I'm on a roll. No, we know how to find talent. We know how to draft it, and we know how to bring people together, how to bring a team together. So you know what? I hope you and the rest of your Dolphins teammates realize that you ain't the new kids on the block. You ain't the only kids who are on the rise right now, because there's a team in humble East Rutherford and Florham Park, New Jersey, who have been left out for a long time, but the laughing is over. Don't talk to me about a third string quarterback. I don't want to hear it. You still have to go out and do your job. And you know what? They went out and they freaking did their job. And guess what, guys? We've got one hell of a season to look forward to. How are you today?
Hell yeah. And you weren't here for this either. I don't know if you saw the scores of the other games, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Third string quarterback's not an excuse, because you know what other third string quarterback almost put up 30 points on a different team?
Bailey Zappi. I know the Lions. Yeah, the Lions have like the worst defense this side of. Oh my gosh! I mean, that is one anemic team. But you know what? Maybe it's the throwback uniforms. I think the Patriots should just stick with the red uniforms. They look a whole lot better. But
is that what they played?
I got to give Zappi credit. I thought that game was going to be a shootout, and I got to give him credit. Sick as it is, so. Yeah, credit to them. But hey, that's okay. We'll take care of the Patriots. Their time will come.
Look, it's just nice to it's very nice to get a win. It's just really, you can't say it enough. It's so nice to win and to win a division game after so long, to be
like 12 games in a row.
We're 3-2. When's the last time we had a winning record after 5 games into the season?
2017.
We beat a divisional foe. We won in September earlier this year. I mean, like, so many things are being erased right now. We're putting so many things in the back window, or the whatever behind us. So it's just so nice, so like, because it really feels like, even though we got a lot to do and a long way to go, it's not the same old Jets.
No, it's not. And one thing that I was happy about, they really cut out the dumb penalties. That was a big thing for me. And the penalties that they did call, most
BS.
of them were absolute BS. It was. Now, I'm going to give you one take. I was going to save this for my video, but I will say this. I'm not going to give it all away. But I think one of the penalties that the Jets had helped them to propel. I think it actually worked out in their favor, which I know is shocking, but I think one of the pass interference penalties worked out for the better. And I'll just go ahead and tell you. I think the Michael Carter penalty was actually a big help, because at that point, the Jets were really struggling at that point. Miami was working their way back. They're only down 2 points at the time. So the Jets would have had the 3 and out. Carter gets that ridiculous penalty, very debatable penalty, and the Dolphins continue to go down the field. That was the drive where Jason Sanders misses the field goal. And so if that penalty had not been called, the Dolphins would have punted. They could have flipped the entire field. Yep, the Jets might have started on their 15, 20, 25-yard line, maybe. But as it stands, the Jets had a much shorter field to go down than they had to, and that's when they took the 9-point lead, and that's when you had to start feeling pretty good. You didn't win over, but you felt pretty good that the Jets were in the driver's seat for the rest of the game.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where I think the other aspect of that, and you can steal this for the video that you'll make later, is that we also saw with that penalty, this team galvanized the defense, galvanizing and banding with one another and saying, these refs aren't going to give us a single call, and we're not going to rely on them. We're going to take this game into our hands, and we're going to make it happen. Because I think you're absolutely right. That play really changed it, because that was the third defensive pass interference call in the game, and all 3 of them. And I'll give it the Michael Carter one. while questionable, he did have a whole bunch of jersey in that back right hand. But that being said, the first two, absolutely horrible calls. I wanted to shout this out. The Jet Press just tweeted this out.
Yep.
And I thought this was an absolutely incredible. And again, this is the reason why I was upset with Jets fans after the Bengals loss. A lot of us were talking, or a lot of the fans and a lot of the content creators, and I understand why, was talking about Robert Saleh and Jeff Fulbrick and Mike LaFleur, and I get it. And I'm not trying to say that they didn't deserve the criticism and that you can't criticize a head coach. But this team, this head coach, Robert Saleh, these guys have these players fighting tooth and nail, willing to do anything, putting their bodies, hearts, souls, sweat, blood, and tears on the line every play of every game. And here's something that I love to see from our team. And it goes, Elijah Vera-Tucker says that he's never played right tackle in his life at any level of football. He said that the New York Jets coaching staff asked him if he could play it this week. He took a few reps in practice, and that's it. What he's doing can't be understated. It's downright unheard of in the modern NFL time. The fact that Elijah Vera-Tucker, he could have so easily said, no, put me in back at guard where I was playing exceptionally well, and think about his future contract, all of those things. Because if he looks bad at tackle, that could hurt his no. He was willing to move from right guard to left tackle in 1 week, and then move from left tackle to right tackle, a position he's never played in, and that he didn't even practice. He said it took extra reps at the end of practice by himself with the coaching staff and everything like that, goes out and puts up a game like that. Like, guys, I think it's time to give credit where credit is due with this coaching staff. Once we see finally when they've got their team in place, we're playing one hell of a brand of football. And I still am suspicious about Ulbrich, not giving him a full pass yet, but his seat was on fire for me. Now it's just mildly, it's on that keep warm setting on the stove that everybody has, and that's where it's at. I'm just keeping it warm just to light something under there so that he keeps doing his job well, but no longer am I calling for his head.
You know what? If AVT, if John Madden was still around, if they were still doing the all Madden team, AVT might be the first offensive lineman on that team because of his versatility, his toughness, and his willingness to do whatever it takes for his team to be great. He is that type of a player. I know they're not very big on captains. They only have so many captains nowadays, but you can make an easy argument for AVT being a captain for every single game. I mean, if they had a second offensive captain, you would have to make AVT that second captain, in my opinion. There's no, I mean, it's the easiest decision to make. So, oh my gosh. And, it's 2 straight weeks. I'm sure you guys might have mentioned this already, but turning it on in the fourth quarter, because I'll tell you what, as good as the score looks, it was scary for about the second and third quarters were shaky. It was scary for a while. I mean, we led almost the entire game. We've come a long way from 22 seconds of leading in 3 games, haven't we?
Did we lose the lead this game at all? No, right?
No,
we held the lead the whole game.
We didn't lose the lead. It's interesting. During the game, I said to Greenby, and I said, look, this happened against Pittsburgh, and this happens to us. When things start going wrong, we fall apart for too long of a time. We need something to turn this around. We need to stop giving another team momentum for 2 straight quarters. And right as I said that, a couple of plays later, Sauce Gardner got the pick. And that was tremendous. And yeah, it felt, the end of the half stunk and everything, but we got it together at the, they came back, they marched down the field, they kicked the field goal, but we stiffened up at the end, we forced the field goal, and then from that point in the third quarter, our defense was lights out.
Yep.
For the rest of the game.
I don't know how they did that. How they just found another gear. I don't know if it was a change in formation, a change in personnel, if it was a mental mindset, but I was so impressed with how because the run defense was scary bad. It looked like they were facing Chubb and Hunt again, but they eventually started to contain Mostert a little bit better. But yeah, that was the one thing that really scared me was that run. But you know what? They held Hill in check, Waddle in check. Mike Gesicki was in the witness protection program until it was garbage time. I mean, then he had his one catch for 30 yards. Thanks for showing up, Mike. Enjoy being franchised. We were all. We're all freaking out over Mike Gesicki. I told you, he's been targeted 10 times all year going into this game. He doesn't matter there anymore. He didn't matter. And he didn't matter again today, no matter who the quarterback was. But we have outscored opponents, the Jets have this year, 79-20 in the fourth quarter. I don't remember a Jets team in my entire lifetime, 3.5 decades of watching this team and actively watching this team, where they just found that extra gear late. I can't remember a team that dare I say, we have coaches who are actually adjusting on the fly and they know what they're doing. When was the last time that happened?
I wanted to, yes. Now that you mentioned it, I totally forgot this. I wrote it down. Let me find the comment here. Boom. Yep. Mike LaFleur and the adjustments that he made on the offensive play calling, because I think you're absolutely right. We come out into the first quarter, and I think both teams fall flat, right? Because outside of the field goal and the most awesome safety, because I don't know the last time I saw a Jet safety in my life.
Sauce.
The scoring safety, you know what I mean? Not the actual player safety.
When you said safety, I'm like, what? Okay.
No.
I think Rex was coaching.
Safety.
Sauce.
Right? But what I'm saying is like, because in that first quarter, there was only 5 total points scored, both for Miami and it was us, right? And in the second quarter, both teams got 14 points. What happened was the Jets got their 14 points early, and then we fell apart in the second half of the second quarter, and we let that go all the way into the third quarter, and Miami starts coming back, right? They start turning it around. But what you saw was Mike LaFleur adjusted his play calling. And then what did we start seeing a lot more towards the end of the third quarter and in the fourth quarter? 2 running back sets. Michael Carter and Breece Hall both out there consistently forcing these corners and these linebackers to play crowded into the box and respect the crap out of our run game, freeing up the receivers, giving our guys an extra step. Mike LaFleur's adjustment in play calling, absolutely spectacular. And if I'm the New York Jets, I would never come out of the big nickel/nickel play calling ever. Having Will Parks and Michael Carter split time at the nickel position, depending on if it's a wide receiver or if it's a tight end, for me was absolutely brilliant from Jeff Ulbrich. You got to give credit where credit is due. And that's one of the places that I'm definitely going to give credit. I really, really liked the idea and the play calling that we saw. If it's a tight end, you bring big 6'1" Will Parks to come in so that he's the guy covering the tight end. And if it's a wide receiver, you bring in the guy who's better in coverage and Michael Carter II, and they're splitting. I loved that from this team. Again, not ready to say that he has a job forever here, but Ulbrich's seat got a lot less hot today because this team was finally making adjustments the right way. And I loved it.
So the some people in the chat are saying things that are very, very true. Look, we've got a long way to go. There's a lot of things throughout this game that we pointed out we still need to do.
We know that.
We've got that. Right. Well, nobody's denying it. We've got a ways to go. Our coaches are still making some mistakes that I think that they can grow and improve on for sure. There was some play calling even by LaFleur that was questionable at times. There were some plays that made us nauseous.
Second and third quarter.
Yeah. There was some bad play calling there. And that, Jeff Ulbrich, I still don't trust him at all. But I am impressed with the way they came back. He did what they had to do for the last 20 minutes of that game. Now, also, I want to say, of course, we have a lot of growing to do. And they pointed this out in the chat too. Huge Johnson is saying it. JE is saying it. A lot of the guys are agreeing on this. It makes sense that we have a lot of growing to do. We're babies.
Yeah,
right.
Literally.
we're babies. We got a second, Saleh is only coached now 5 + 7, 22 games, 23 games. LaFleur is his offensive coordinator. We have a second-year quarterback who missed some games this year and last year. So he's only played 18 games or 9, whatever it is. We have a a lot of rookies playing this year. We're young, and we're going to
massive turnover on the defensive side of the ball, like in the whole roster.
Oh, more, yeah, like 2/3 of the starters.
Seven new players on defense.
Right. So we are going to struggle at times, and we're going to look bad at times. But I think when you start, if we go back to where we were when Adam Gase got out, Joe Douglas took full control of the team, hired Saleh, and started having these drafts. I think if we look for where we started, we stripped the roster down, right? We stripped it down, and we started rebuilding it. And people have been complaining and completely impatient, saying, all those first-round picks, we need to see it on the field. We need to see wins. And it's only been, this is only the second year, really, with Robert Saleh and everything, until we really started getting these players, where Joe Douglas had his own draft. It was only his second draft. We're seeing the wins now. We're 3-2. We're seeing something. We're seeing great improvement. But forget the record of 3-2. You can't watch these Jet games and not see the growth. You can't not notice the talent that's on the field now. We got a ways to go before we're competing for playoffs and playoff wins and playing with the elite teams. And we're going to be frustrated along the way. But we have to look at the projectile of this team. And I don't see how any New York Jet fan that's truly a fan, that's been paying attention, could say that they're not happy with the direction of this team right now. I just don't see it, because I haven't seen a Jets team in 2 years give us as a fan base as much to be excited about. Since maybe when we brought Rex Ryan in and had the talent, I remember being really excited when Parcells took over. But in all the examples of when it's felt like this, it's led to really good things, including AFC Championship games. The difference this time is we're not doing it with mostly veterans that only have a certain small window. We're doing this with a young core of babies. So we might have a potential 10 years ahead of us of having really great players and being, competitive every year. And that's what we really need to focus on and celebrate.
And I think one of the things, sorry, Adam, because one of the things that you mentioned was growth from our players. But guys, we also need to understand that we're also going to see growth from our coaching staff. Like, this isn't your, like a great example would be like your Vic Fangios of the world, right? Who have been head coaches for years and years. They're in their ways. Like, they know what they're like. We have babies when it comes to the offensive coordinator position, the defensive coordinator position, the head coach. Like, this is Mike LaFleur's second year ever as an offensive coordinator. This is Robert Saleh's second year ever as a head coach. This is Jeff Ulbricht's second and a half year ever as a defensive coordinator at the NFL level, because he was a defensive coordinator at UCLA in 2014. But he was the interim defensive coordinator in 2015 or 2020 for the Falcons before they fired their whole staff. You know what I mean? There's a lot of growth that needs to come from everybody on the staff, from everybody, not just the players, but the staff as well. And we're seeing that. And so 100% we're going to have to see this happening. And I think it's a little bit of both, Nunzio. I think it's both the coordinators and the head coach finally realizing what they need to do to get this team to win. And it's just a lot of growth. That's what it is. And I just wanted one more thing. Sorry, before we talk on this comment. One of the comments before was like, LaFleur was doing a bad job of getting the ball into his playmakers' hands and attacking these bad corners and things like that. Guys, we led the football game for a long time. And you could see that. I think we did it a little bit too early, and this is a growing moment for Mike LaFleur. But we went into burn the play clock as much as possible mode, I think a little too early. And we started running the ball ineffectively at a heavy clip. And so that's where I think you see that kind of breakdown there, in my opinion. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Nunzio 108, thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining the chat. A lot of new people in here. I hope you all subscribe to the channel, because and these fellas as well. While you were all here, Talking Jets with Tigo. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. New York Sports Wikimedia. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. These guys are working hard. They deserve your support. And I hope you'll give it to me too if you haven't subbed to the channel. I am pushing towards 2,000 subs, and boy, I want to taste 2,000 so bad. So do that. And great question, Nunzio. So you think Saleh is taking a more assertive role in adjustments, or you think it's more the coordinators learning? It's really, really hard for us to know that. Anything that we would say right now, I have to say, would be a guess. Obviously, because we don't have any more information than anyone else. If I had to guess, I think I would have to imagine on the defensive side of the ball specifically that Saleh is talking to Jeff Obrecht and has been getting more involved in the last few weeks. And I just say that because I just can't imagine that he's sitting back and was just letting this happen. You know, the way our defense was playing at times, it's just very hard for me to imagine that he's not having more conversations and was more about more, you know, like just saying more things to Jeff about this is what you got to do. We got to do more of this, because there was a significant change. There was a lot more stunts. Our defensive guys on the edge were stunting into the inside. It was looking different the way we were playing off the snap. So things did look different. It would be hard. I would guess that Saleh had something to do with that. If you were asking my opinion, I'll let the other two give their opinions, but that's just my take.
It's just supposing. I mean, all we could do is conjure up a guess. I mean, it's not anything necessarily that we're going to hear about. Now, the coordinators do have their weekly press conferences on Thursdays. Hopefully that's something that might get brought up as opposed to just individual players. I'd like to hear more from these coaches about how they've changed over the last year to 2 years. I think that would be, that's something that definitely interests me. I remember during the off season, Michael Kay was being interviewed. I think Michael Kay was interviewing Coach Saleh. And they asked him, they said, how are you a different coach? And what he was talking about was the administrative side of things, like handling business. And I'm like, that's not what I was looking to hear. I wanted to hear about how are you different in terms of, you know, on field, you know, dealing with players, accountability, you know, and I think he might still be figuring out what works best for him, because you know what, as young as this whole product is, from the players to the coaching staff, you could even include the GM if you want to. Growth is not a steady climb uphill. There will be bumps in the road. You just hope as the bumps happen that they are able to recover from those, and it doesn't become a 4 to 5 game losing streak. Guys, these guys are not we're going to see certain players, certain rookies, they're going to have their rookie moments. They might hit the rookie wall. You know, hopefully JJ's good from his ankle injury. He just tweeted out, he said, I'm good. We're going to have to wait and see. But at least, even if JJ's hurt, at least we know we have depth. And I know it's an overused word, is depth, but it is absolutely true. And I think this coaching staff is prepared enough to figure out, and I keep going back to this, the players that they have and what positions they work best in, and can they adjust going off of that. Well, it was very interesting to see that, because we saw 3 safeties to start the game. Who amongst us saw that coming? I certainly did. I mean, even the first
adjustments.
game. Yes, when they tried the 3 tight ends early on, it didn't work. They went away from it. You know, they were smart enough to do that. So I do believe as these coaches and these players get to know one another better, they will be able to fine-tune those game plans that much better, and we are going to see the fruits of those results, because as they learn together, the team gets better as a result.
It's a great point. And it's another area where I was talking about, and going back to that comment, right? I think it's a little bit of both. We have a really young coaching staff, and that's something that we need to realize as Jets fans, is that we do have a young coaching staff. We need to realize that it's not just the players that need to learn and get better. The coaching staff needs to as well. And that's another great adjustment that you're talking about, you know, going away from the 3 tight ends and stuff like that. And like another thing that like we saw an adjustment today, and it was something that I was actually asking for, was instead of heavily targeting 1 or 2 receivers or pass catchers, we targeted everybody evenly. today. Not a single pass catcher got more than 4 targets today. We spread the ball out super well. And it was the idea of saying, hey, we've got a bunch of different pass catchers. You don't know who the ball is going to when we drop back because we believe in all of those guys. Dude, Jeff Smith got 2 targets, I think.
And he made a big catch. He made a big catch in this game.
First down. Like, again, we have the guys there, and we're making the plays needed to get the team going in the right direction. And that doesn't mean that we don't have problems that we need to fix. We absolutely have problems that we need to fix. Is the pass I'm going to have to watch the game back, but like these pass interference calls, were they actually BS calls and I was just all up in my feels, or were there actually pass interferences? Is this a new problem that we have to deal with? How do we fix that? You know what I mean? The linebacker play, while a lot better today, still not perfect. You know, how do we improve that? Offensive line still having to gel, and we see that there's rust knocking off of Dwayne Brown. When that gets better, how can we more effectively run the ball? Because we ran the ball 33 times, and to only have 135 rushing yards or 137, 130 something rushing yards.
Yeah, 4.1 yards per carry. We finally broke 100 yards rushing as a team for the first time all year.
And so, but 100 of those yards coming from Breece Hall, you know, how do like Michael Carter needs to, and so it's little things like that where we absolutely have places that we can work on, but man, the growth and Sauce finally getting his INT. Now every single player in the defensive back group has an interception.
Yeah, it's big. And I think the first 2 out of the 3 PIs against us, the first 2, whether you want to call it baloney or not, whether you believed it was PI or not, it doesn't change the fact that Sauce and Reed, but Sauce particularly because it's been every week now, he needs to turn around towards the ball faster. Because when you are looking at the receiver and you don't turn your head in time, that's what brings flags all the time. I mean, that's what refs go by, right? They want to see a legitimate effort of you're going for the ball, that it's contested catch. If you're turning back and you're not grabbing onto the receiver and you turn back towards the quarterback and everything you do at that point is going up for the ball, it's much harder to get called for PI. But if you're not turned around and you're making contact with that receiver, look for the flag, man, because it comes all the time. So they have to learn. They have to spin around. You have to read the eyes of the receiver. You have to know when that ball's going to get there. You have to know when it's about to come, and you have to spin around. Just the way it is in the NFL.
Wasn't there one play when Miami had the ball? When the Jets had the ball, they threw deep to Conklin, and he was being covered. And I don't think the Miami defensive player turned around at all. But they didn't call pass interference that time.
He was being tackled before the ball got to him.
No, that was absolute
right.
garbage.
So I'm fine with, if you want to have a very high standard of the NFL officials, if they want to have a very high standard of pass interference, fine. The players and coaches can learn that. Just call it evenly both ways. And I didn't feel like they did that.
Yeah. No,
and I hate complaining about the referees because it's so easy to do. But today I thought it was just bad. I mean, the Jets only have 5 penalties for 105 yards. Miami had 10 penalties for about the same amount.
Well, I think it's about consistency. You just have to be consistent. It's like an umpire behind the plate with the strike zone. You just got to be consistent. You can't pull it on us twice. And then, on Conklin, it was the same thing. Their corner or whoever was covering him did not turn around. That's a penalty. You have to be consistent. You just have to.
Yeah.
It's
infuriating, because in sports, teams and refereeing teams have a tendency to do. We see this in hockey a lot. Like it's almost exaggerated in hockey. But we see the even up call. Hey, this team just got a penalty, so we're going to give this team a penalty so that it's even. And you hate to see that because it almost seemed like them not calling the pass interference on Conklin was the reverse of the even up call because they were probably keeping up yardage that was given up in total, and probably around that game. I'd be interested to see how close the yardage was when that pass interference should have been called. And my thing is no, you have the rule book, and I understand that we want to keep the refs out of the game, but if you're seeing something, you got to call it. You have to call the penalties, and you have to call the way that the game is, and you got to get rid of the even up call because the Sauce Gardner pass interference on Tyreek Hill, I thought was a really weak call. Like Tyreek Hill turns around and runs back into Sauce, and that's a Sauce pass interference just because he didn't turn his head around and made a play for the ball. Like, I get what you're saying, but like, still, that's just like, really?
Right,
Like,
no.
that's a pass interference call? Like, you're going to call that, but Conklin is getting tackled in the sideline while the ball's still
When
20
they didn't
yards
turn
away.
around. Right, when
It's
they
not,
didn't turn
it's
around.
Not, it's not about wrong or right. Like, I agree with you. I'm not saying that Sauce was PI. Right. Yeah, I'm not. I agree. I agree. If Hill was slowing down to come back and get the ball, that should not be on Sauce. I'm just saying, if you want to eliminate the call against you,
Turn
you
around.
have to turn around,
No,
because you're right. I mean, but the point is, the refs are going to miscall that so many times. But if you turn around, they won't miscall it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. It doesn't make it fair. It sucks for Sauce. It sucks. It sucked for us at the moment it happened. Luckily, we still get the win, so it doesn't. It's all in the past.
Yeah, and with the penalties that we did have, I'll just say real quick, with the penalties we did have, at least they were these very ticky-tack pass interferences. It wasn't roughing the passer. We didn't have an eligible man downfield for a change. I mean, that's
What,
like
an
a
RPO?
tradition. I know, thank goodness. It was the Dolphins who were having penalties like delay of game, grabbing a face mask. They were taking
back-to-back plays.
Oh my God! Yeah, there were 3 penalties in a row at one point in the game.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God, how long are we going to be here? But yeah, to me, I saw a big difference. I thought Robert Saleh outcoached Mike McDaniel in terms of getting his team prepared for this game. And if you look at the type of penalties and the turnovers, it reflects that completely.
Hey, it's nice to look like the more experienced team with the more experienced coaches for once. Vinny Chiachi, right? Chiachi. No.
Chiachi.
He said Chiachi.
Yeah.
Vinny Chiachi. If Quincy is there, Mostert gets half the yards.
See, I don't agree.
I'm not buying it.
Here's why. Sorry, because I saw this comment and I answered it in my head the whole time. The reason I disagree is because while I think Quincy does come downhill really, really well and he tackles exceptionally well, we were really trying. You could tell by just looking at the stat sheet that we were really trying to eliminate the pass catchers, not the run game. We were willing to let them run the ball on us all game. And you could tell that because we got up early, like in the sense of points. We went up on points early, and we were willing to let them pass the ball absolutely free however they wanted. Run the ball however they wanted. And when it came to passing, we were going to limit their passing attack. And you can see that reflected in the stats. Only 166 total yards passing. And even though we let them rush for 137 yards, like, that's 137 times the play clock kept running. Not 137 times, but you get what I'm saying. That was 26 times essentially that the play clock kept running, and the time kept dwindling down. So I'm gonna give respect where respect is due. Mostert was doing a great job splitting this defensive line open and taking it to not to the house, because he only did that once, but breaking off big chunks.
Yeah, I mean, Miami averaged 5 yards per run, and time after time, it was up the middle. And it was a situation where it's not like he was fighting for yards; he had space to run through.
Oh.
I mean, there were too many times, I feel like, with a lot of these Jets runs over the last couple games where, Harder and Call are just waiting for a hole to open up, and they just try to fall forward to get back whatever they can. So, yeah, but the run defense had been very good for a couple of weeks, the last 2 weeks, I felt. But today, yeah, I think I agree. I think they were a little bit more focused on limiting the big plays, which they absolutely did against the pass. And if that means that Miami was able to get a little bit more yards running, you know what? You'll take that every time.
Because you can't stop both.
No.
Right? That's the thing. You can't, unless you're playing the Lions, you can't effectively stop the passing game and the rushing game. It's a very hard thing to do. So if you're going to pick it's a double-edged sword. I'm taking the much, much, much sharper edge that is Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think they're much bigger threats than Raheem Mostert, but well on Raheem Mostert for taking his opportunity and proving that he deserves to be on this league. He was at one point in time on the New York Jets practice squad. Remember that?
Yep, I definitely do.
So I don't know about Jermaine Johnson's injury.
He's fine.
Me and Green Bean don't have the sounds on, but I don't think it's serious.
He just said, yeah, JJ tweeted about 45 minutes ago. I'm good, great team win with a black heart. So
Nice.
now, of course, he's going to say that. What else is he going to say? I mean, if he's tweeting. So, I mean, we'll have to see. We'll see what
Well,
good
I think
means.
the "I'm good" is a good sign, because if he was
This is fair.
seriously hurt, he might say something like, "God will
just-
take care of me. God will guide me." Like there's usually some
Yes, God got me.
there's usually some kind of thing about I'll make it through this. But
My
saying,
time will come. Hashtag Jets win.
right? But saying I'm good tells me he'll be in the lineup next week.
Yeah, I mean, I heard he was limping afterwards, after he did get hurt. But it's just something to watch. But again, even if he has to miss a game or two, yeah, you don't want to lose him. But I'm confident in the other players on this team. Hey, if that means
kept these guys.
If that means more Michael Clemens, I'm not going to complain about that for one moment.
Yeah,
Like, we're still benching defensive linemen. If that means that someone needs to step up, it's next man up. I love JJ. I made a video this week asking to bench Carl Lawson for more JJ. And I'm sorry, Carl Lawson. I've already apologized. I'm apologize again. I didn't mean it.
There's a receipt right there.
I'm sorry. I was wrong. I appreciate you being on this football team, but it's just like you said. It's next man up. Michael Clemens. Let's see what you got.
Yeah. Look, I love the way Michael Clemens is playing. When Michael Clemens gets in there, he's doing things. The pursuit is great. The aggressiveness. I love Michael Clemens. I can't wait till we get to see more snaps from him. As we move forward into the future of this team, Michael Clemens is going to be a very special player. At least in my opinion. He's got a motor that will not quit. And whenever he gets his opportunities, he seems to be taking advantage of it.
You may as well, you could have said everything you just said, taken out the words Michael Clemens and inserted the words Bryce Huff, and it still would have made just as much sense.
Absolutely.
Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely. Bryce Huff looks great.
You notice him. You notice Huff. You notice 47 every time he's on the field. He may not have had a sack today, but you could sense him like being all around. And man, I thought that fourth quarter, that was the best the pass rush has looked all season for an actual quarter. By far their best quarter.
Oh yeah.
Kudos. Mad kudos I'll give it to Ulbrich. I mean, I don't know if they adjusted the personnel a certain way again, but they weren't sending the house or anything like that. They kept rushing 4. And I'm all for a little more creativity. When the second I saw Sauce coming in on a blitz and nobody was looking his way, I'm like, oh my God, creativity on first down on defense. I couldn't believe that's something we would typically only say for third down, but we came out with a bang on that play. And hey, let's give Braden Mann more credit. He deserves this too. Special teams kicked butt again. Great job by special teams, because if Braden Mann doesn't have that fantastic punt, we're not thinking about a safety. Teddy Bridgewater may not get hurt. Maybe if they're not right against their own end zone, maybe the Jets don't call that cornerback blitz. So bottom line, the key to winning this game was Braden Mann.
Yeah, well, look, Braden Mann did a great job. Huge Johnson, thanks for saying drop a like, boys. That is a good reminder, guys. It really helps if you hit the like button on the video. I appreciate it. Obviously, that's assuming you like this content. So if you're enjoying the content, hit the like button. We don't expect you to do it just to do it. But if you do like the content, it's a really nice way to just appreciate what we're doing, and we appreciate you for doing that. We appreciate everybody who's here for being here as well. Iguapo. Why? I think I read that right. From the three,
we got a beer around here called El Guapo, as a matter of fact. Handsome beer for handsome people.
It's from the Three Amigos.
Hey,
Guapo. Will you rate the villages? Why do the Bills get so much praise for beating the Steelers, but the Jets don't get praise for beating the Dolphins?
I that the Bills lost to.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know who's doing the praising, but I will say I don't think anybody deserves too much praise for beating the Steelers. And that's not to disrespect the Steelers as an organization. That's just recognizing that the Steelers are in a rebuild or at a turning point. I know that they don't like to do rebuilds where they're bad. I mean, although they haven't been through that, but they obviously are. That team has more holes than they've had since I could remember as a football fan for a long time. So the reality is that the Steelers just are not that great. They're, they can play tough. They got a great coach. They, okay, that I know Tigo doesn't feel that way. So
With what?
you don't
Mike
agree
Tomlin.
Tomlin's a great coach. You don't think he's a great
I didn't
coach?
ever said that.
Oh, okay.
No. Those
I
are my
never said
Steelers
that.
friends. Those are my Steelers friends. I was quoting them when they were talking about Mike Tomlin.
okay,
I think he's a great coach.
Okay. So
Without TJ Watt. Yeah, without
what-
TJ Watt.
what I'm saying, the Steelers are you can't ignore the Steelers. You can't think it's going to be a cakewalk, but they've got a problem on their roster. They've got to develop a quarterback. They have Watt out. They have things. They have problems. Their
They have
offensive
Matt
line-
Canada calling offensive plays.
Look, they got some stuff going on, but so I don't know who's giving them praise. I'm assuming you mean the Main Street media. They're going to look, we're used to this as Jets fans. They're going to look at the fact that the Dolphins had a third string quarterback. They're going to look at the fact that Xavier Howard was out. and they're not going to give us much respect. But look, it doesn't matter because we have to know as a fan base, we have to understand this. In the past, the same old Jets do not take advantage of these injuries. The same old Jets do not win this game. The same old Jets fold and find a way to lose anyway. We are not the same old Jets. I don't care about the Main Street media if they believe it or not. We know. We saw Breece Hall play today. We're seeing what Garrett Wilson is doing. We're seeing what Bryce Huff and Michael Clemens and Carl Lawson and Way Quinnen Williams is playing, and Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. We're seeing this. We know it's real. It doesn't mean we're ready to win Super Bowls yet, but this is real. We are turning this around. So it doesn't matter what the media is saying. Nobody has to respect us. Maybe one day when we're holding up that Lombardi trophy, they'll finally respect us. Otherwise, you know what? But I don't even care.
The real reason is because the Bills are supposed to beat everybody, right? So when they go out and do the thing that they're supposed to do, everyone's going to give them praise because everybody needs to. Because before the season, everybody was talking about the Bills are going to go 15-2. The Bills are going to go 17-0. They're going to go win a Super Bowl this year. And that's what's happening. The New York Jets, according to the national media, are supposed to go 0-9 before the bye week. We're supposed to be 0-5, not 3-2. And so when we win, because of the coverage, because people don't actually look and see and evaluate what's happening to the Jets, when they see on the stat sheet that the Jets have a W, they didn't watch that game because they're not going to watch a Jets game. They're assuming that the other team had all of the injuries or there was massive. They're never going to give the Jets the respect that we deserve, that we've earned until it matters. And like not to start looking ahead too early, but the way that we do that is by going to Green Bay and winning against Green Bay, and going 4-2. That's by going against the Broncos and going to Denver and beating the Broncos. These games are so much closer than what we had probably all had originally anticipated. I'm going to come out and say it. When I was looking at the schedule, there were 3 games on the schedule that I had 100% the New York Jets were going to lose. Those were both of the Bills games because I thought the Bills were that far ahead of us, and the Denver game.
Yep.
And it's not because I thought Denver was that good, but because playing in Mile High is that hard. Every other game I said the Jets should be in. Now, after seeing this season, after seeing how we're playing, after seeing how Zach is doing, we still have a lot of things to work on. But we shouldn't see a Cincinnati Bengals game for the rest of the year in the sense of us losing like that. We should be competitive and in every single game for the rest of this season. And for all of those people who are in my camp who made a bet on the Jets over the 5.5 wins over, we're sitting pretty after 5 weeks. Woo! I put $50 on that. They pull it out. I told my friend, dude, you put it on now. You put that bet on now. And I sent it to him for him to make the bet for me because I'm sitting pretty. I'm feeling good about that bet now.
Chris, what is a 40 burger? I'm not sure what he's talking about.
I'm wondering if he's trying to say 40 pounds, but obviously that can't be.
I once tried doing an
yeah.
8-pound. I once tried doing an 8-pound burger for a food challenge one time. That was it was 5, but yeah,
Jesus.
it was 5 pounds of burger and 2 pounds of bun. We won't go into that
It
one.
probably means 40 ounce.
That sounds pretty dang good. That's 2.5 pounds. That sounds awesome.
Do you think Garrett Wilson was used as a decoy today? I think that they're wide receivers
No.
on different plays. Well, not as a decoy for the whole game kind of thing, but I think on every play there are receivers used as a decoy, right? I mean, I think it's by nature. I think when you have 3 capable receivers, when Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Garrett Wilson's on the field on any passing play, they are all decoys for each other. Because right? I mean, because you have to worry about all 3 of them. So somebody is going to be left open, or somebody's not going to have as much coverage on them. Someone has an opportunity. It's really just a matter of, is Zach Wilson able to find that person who gets open on time before they get to him?
And
Well, you
that's
know
the-
what?
oh, go ahead.
And one of the things that we've talked about with Zach Wilson, I think one of his criticisms has been he's locked into one receiver too much. He only throws to Corey Davis. Well, like Tigo mentioned earlier, no receiver got more than 4 targets today. So he was distributing the ball well. He was being that point guard that we want him to be. And Garrett Wilson, he had his moments. I mean, that 2nd and 12 that he converted to help the Jets go down the field. It was, I think, about halfway through the second quarter. That was a big play in that game when he converted that 2nd and 12, because early on in the game, when the Jets drives weren't working, it's typically because they were in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. They're in these long drives. But when they could get the ball moving a little bit, then they were converting them. Well, that was like one of the exceptions early on when Zach was able to find Garrett. And you know what? It's one of those things to me, beggars can't be choosers. There's no style points in the NFL. Let me put it this way to you. I made a video earlier this week that got a lot of attention. I was confident the Jets were going to score 30 points. Apparently, I didn't believe in them enough because they scored 40. But where I was wrong was I thought it was going to be the Zach Wilson show. I thought I'd see a ton of touchdowns, passing touchdowns, but I thought it'd be the 3 different receivers. He didn't throw one. I don't give a rip. I don't care how they scored these touchdowns. That is the least of my concerns. It doesn't matter how you do it. It just matters that you do it.
Just give me a W.
That's at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Hey, win, come out healthy. That's it. Those 2 things. So
that's my wife saying hello.
Hey, Mrs. Jeremy.
Trin the Great. Also, that Carter Waddle touchdown celebration had me.
Did you also catch the Sauce Gardner piece?
Oh, did he? I was waddling.
He dropped
in the
piece on Tyreek Hill. They threw a ball at Tyreek Hill, and Sauce obviously deflected it, and he went running back to the huddle, throwing the peace sign at Tyreek Hill. I was dying.
I didn't see that one, but I'll tell you, I was waddling at the bar today. I will tell you that, and I had no shame.
Oh my God. Oh, that's nice of you. Thank you, Twisted. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Twisted. We love you too.
Twisted. This team came to get down, so get out of your seat and jump around. I didn't write that.
Jump.
This team came to get down, so get out of your seat and jump around. Jump around. Jump. I don't know. Probably just
I think one of the things now with this season, I think it's a little bit going to be it's going to be an underrated talking point, but I think is one of the more important things is that the 12th man also showed up today. That stadium was loud. It was rocking, and you could see that in the delay of game calls, the not being able to get to the line in time, like a lot of really, really good things after, like,
and
in
the
this
fact
game.
the fact that they took the lead so early as they did, that was so important for them to get ahead for the fan base, because the Jets fan is very much like the Mets fan in that when the games are big, they'll show up, they'll be loud, but they're just so used to losing and getting their hearts broken that as soon as something goes wrong, you're almost as excited as you are. You almost can't even speak because you're so filled with nervousness and tension, and understandably so. The Jets never gave their fans a chance for that to happen. They were always in the lead. They weren't always in control of the game, by no means, but they were always in the lead, and they were never out of it by any stretch. So when they had to make the plays, when they had to make a big stop, they did. When they had to take the ball and go down the field, they did that too. And halfway through the fourth quarter, you knew it was done. And at that point, man, I can only imagine how cool it must have been to be in that stadium today. It must have been a party. It must have been something else.
And my thing too, I think you mentioned it really, really well. Like with it is, I mentioned it last week and like the week before, where there are games. I think one of the things that the New York Jets struggle doing, like I think a really good example of that is the Pittsburgh game. While we won that game, by no way, shape, or form did we end the game. You know what I mean? Like, and one of the things that I mentioned last week in my review of the game was the New York Jets need to start learning how to finish games, because we're doing great fourth quarter things and we're having but we didn't finish that game. You know what I mean? We didn't. Here's what I mean, right? Do you remember the Cleveland game where they thought Cleveland finished the game on us?
Yep.
Like they were 6 minutes into the game. They were already updating the record and all that. We were seeing that with the Jets. There was 9 minutes left on the clock, and they were talking about the Jets will have a good win here, and this is a great win for. How are they going to take that? And that's something that we needed to get better at, was finishing games, is going out there, and when a team was down, when we were up on a team, not letting up, putting our foot on their throats and stomping a team into submission. And that's what we did. That's how you win games. It's finishing the game on your terms. And I think that's a really, really big moment for this team. And I think this coaching staff should and will really highlight the fact of, look how the energy changes. Look how different it feels when you go and you finish the game, not the other way around. You don't let the game finish and it's a W. You finish the game and you get your W.
That end of the second quarter into the third quarter was scary because the Dolphins had the ball for 9 minutes in a row. When you include those quarters, they had 2 11-play drives in a row. All right, and so in that first drive of the second half, they kicked the field goal, made it a 19-17 Jets game. After that, they went 3 and out with a punt, 3 plays, a minute 30. Then came the missed field goal drive that we talked about earlier. After that, they fumbled on the first play, and then they turned the ball over on downs twice. That was it. So after that field goal, the defense absolutely took that game over, and that was so big. Because I was worried that defense was going to get gashed. I don't know if they'd be able to stop Raheem Mostert the rest of the game, because it was really starting to scare me.
It was starting to get ugly.
Go ahead, Huge.
It was definitely starting to get ugly. You're right. I was getting very upset. I was starting to get really frustrated. I was like, they're slicing us like Swiss cheese. It was annoying, man. It was irritating. And I'm glad. I don't know what switched or what turns, but man, after their field goal in that third quarter, something's flipped. We flipped the switch. And I don't know what it was, but I noticed that we were stunting more. I saw a lot of rotating around on the defensive line after the snap. And I don't know if that was intentional and that they finally figured it out. But something definitely changed, Buffalo, I just wanted to answer this for you, Johnson. No, he still might show up. We don't got that much longer in the show, but he went to a wedding today. So he said he might pop in. He's going to try. So we were hoping he'd be here by now, but unfortunately not yet. Maddie, I just wanted to say thank you for tuning in all the way from Denver. Have an amazing time at the game. Make sure you hook up with some Jet fans. I'm sure there'll be some there. So find them, hook up with them. Make sure you have some Jets family around. And salute to you too, my friend. Salute to you too.
Yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson playing with a torn lat muscle. Who knows if he's even going to be able to play that game at this point?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things that are there's a lot of narratives that are not going to be talked about in the national media moving forward that are going to work in the Jets' favor. The Green Bay Packers are coming back from London on a short week because generally speaking, they give the London team like a long week kind of a thing. They try to give them more time and so that they can have more rest and readjust their time clocks. They're coming back on a short week, or they give them the bye right after the London game. They're coming back on a short week on a bad loss to a bad New York Giants team, versus a New York Jets team that just won 2 back-to-back games. We're road warriors. We are undefeated on the road. there's that conversation, and then there's also the conversation that we got to have, like that you just said, with what's the word I'm looking for, with Denver. That team isn't clicking. Jerry Jeudy's not going. Cortland Sutton's not going. Russell Wilson is hurt apparently, and it's just not working. Something's wrong in Denver, and so there's
it's Nathaniel Hackett. That's the easiest way to answer it, is Nathaniel Hackett is probably what's wrong.
So like it's one of those things where there's a lot of things going well for the New York Jets that we're going and we should and absolutely have taken advantage of. And here's the last thing I say before I got to get out of here and go help take care of the baby, is that we're starting to see the adjustments and the game. I think a lot of the criticism that Jets fans and Jets content creators had, and it was fair, even though I didn't necessarily believe it 100%, was that it almost seemed like we came into the game with our own game plan without watching the other team at all, right? We said, this is what we're going to do no matter what the other team does, no matter what they're good at. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to stick to our guns, where for these last 2 games, we came in with a game plan, not for ourselves, but specifically designed to attack the other team. We specifically designed a game plan that was supposed to attack the weaknesses of Pittsburgh. We specifically designed a game plan that was designed to attack the weaknesses of Miami. And you love to see it, and you hope that you continue to see the growth. Guys, feels good. Feels so good. Have a New York Jets win. So good. Gosh.
So good.
Oh man.
Just
a good day. Nothing can knock me down. Nothing.
Check
great day.
We have another Jets brother from England watching from Portsmouth, England today.
Tally ho.
So
Bloody
great.
fantastic. Bloody fantastic.
See the whole Jet game live on TV. Still lots to work on, but they look like they're playing for each other. I think so too. I do. Nick, it's a great point. These guys, it doesn't look like selfishness. It doesn't look like players out for their own thing. It looks like a bunch of guys that are fighting for each other. They're fighting for each other.
I love that huge. So we had our friend from England here, Huge Johnson, comes back in the chat, says tally ho, and YouTube is asking me to review that for offensive content because he said ho. That's beautiful. I love that.
Alrighty, boys. Thank you for having me on the stream today. I gotta go. Gotta go take care of the baby. Guys, New York Jets win. Let's keep this excitement going. Let's show up huge in Green Bay. Let's paint Green Bay in the other green color, right? Screw that horrible green that Green Bay has. Let's paint it in Gotham green. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. Thank you guys for having me on the stream.
Good to see you, Tigo.
Take care,
talking
guys.
Jets.
Don't forget.
I'll see you guys later.
His channel.
Thank you very, very much.
All right. I don't know what the Michael Carter hate is for. He didn't have the best of games today, but I wouldn't exactly be attacking.
I got a big problem with that. Okay, if you want to look at his average yards, that's fine. He was the freaking goal line back. I mean, come on. I have a big problem with the Carter criticism.
I think that maybe Sergeant Mike might have Breece Hall in fantasy football, and Michael Carter stole a couple of touchdowns.
it makes no sense. I just no, I don't like. Hey, how about this one, Mike? What about, did you watch the Pittsburgh game last week when Breece Hall had that big run all the way down to the 1 yard line, down the left sideline? Check out who threw out the lead block for him. It was number 32, Michael Carter. Michael Carter is a very good all-around running back. Better at some things than others. He's not a great running back, but he's damn good, and he's reliable at just about anything you would want him to do. I'm going to defend Michael Carter. I'm sorry. I'm defending him.
Look, I don't know if he had the best game today, and I got to look at the tape and everything. It didn't feel like he did too much today, but that's okay. I mean, that happens. The reality is Michael Carter has been, since we got him in the games he's played in, has been very good. There's a lot more thumbs up for him than thumbs down. I mean, he's done some great things for us. I really like him, and I think I think clearly Breece Hall is establishing himself. I mean, with no question, is the RB1. There's no question. Brees Hall is our star running back. It's very, very clear. That's why we traded up to get him. But Michael Carter gives us a duo that's like is going to, I think, if it doesn't already, is going to put us up in there with one of the best running back duos in the NFL.
And Michael
it's
Carter
only
was
gonna
a
get
fourth
better.
round draft pick. Yeah, he was a fourth round draft pick.
Yeah.
How much more value can you expect to get out of a fourth round running back?
He's over delivered. I mean, he's been great so far. I mean, very
Awesome.
happy with him.
Yeah.
So I might not like him, but for a running back too, I mean, for right now, if that's what he's going to be, a running back too, he's
change of pace. He's a better Bilal. If he's a better Bilal Powell, fine, cool. I think he's a little bit better. I think he's a little faster than that. But if that's the kind of role that he's going to have for a while, I'm cool with it. You know what? I'm so happy right now. They could wear that horrible uniform combo with the white jerseys and the black pants the rest of the year, and I'm not going to complain because I do not like that combo. But you know what? They're winning. So I can't say a word about it right now. Hey, Minnesota.
I love this. We got today.
That's so cool.
Today we met Utah Jets fan. There's Idaho Jets fan, Indiana Jet fan, Iowa Jet fan who's pissed right now because everybody's stealing his mojo. Iowa might be mad at me. I haven't seen Iowa around in a long time on my channel, but we'll figure that. We'll find out. I told everyone in Minnesota that my Jets will beat up the Finns, but I got nothing but laughter. Now today, everyone is quiet. Love it.
Oh, hey, Minnesota fan. Did the Vikings lose to the Bears? I know the Bears came back on them. I'll check real quick.
Yeah, find out.
No, the Vikings won 29-22. Hey, they should just focus on their own team and be happy.
How did my boy Justin Fields do? I like him.
Your boy Justin Fields. Well, I know he had a little bit of a rally. I'll pull the numbers up real quick, and then I got to go do my video and make dinner for the Mets game.
Oh, he had a 118 rating.
118 rating? That doesn't sound too bad.
71% completion, touchdown, 47 yards on the ground. Well, they didn't lose.
Hey, you know Minnesota's having a good game when Jalen Rager's actually catching a touchdown. 15 for 20. Yeah, 15 for 21. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Yeah, it ran 8 times for 47 yards. He was actually the team's leading rusher. But yeah, the Bears are just not that good a team. Put it this way, for guys like Chris Bradigan and myself, it's a little bit personal with the Bears. But we haven't beaten the Bears in 22 years. That's another streak that I want to see end this season. Beating the Bears.
Yep. So Minnesota, I'm glad that they won for you and that you get to shut them all up. Receipts.
They're getting longer.
Anybody doing ESPN picks could pick them. You can join the All Gas No Break NFL spread group. That's
if it's open. Yeah, I do ESPN picks could pick them. I do the straight picks, the spread, and the confidence. Definitely the spread is the most challenging for me by far. Yeah, spreads are tough. Yeah, they are.
I need to check it out.
All right, I'll have to jump in on that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I think we have a legitimate chance. Unless they turn it around on us, which has happened in our history. Unless they turn it around on us, it seems like we have a reasonable chance to compete and beat Green Bay and a reasonable chance to compete and beat Denver. Both those teams are struggling. The Giants just beat Green Bay. And, and don't get me wrong, I was the first to say it. The Giants look much better, and they seem to have a really great coach. But still, for the Giants to beat Green Bay is having problems with it. Aaron Rodgers, Cobb had like 96 yards today or something like that. So it's not that he didn't have any receiver at all, but they're not as explosive right now.
The running game is not that good. I'm sorry. Yeah. Jones and Dillon has been a massive disappointment in my mind. By the way, the Broncos backup quarterback is Brett Rippon. I'm not exactly sweating Brett Rippon.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, but here's the thing. The one argument, if you really want to be down on the Jets, the one argument you can make, they haven't beaten a legitimately good quarterback yet. You can make that argument if you want to. Well, here's your opportunity to beat, in my opinion, the most talented quarterback in decades, in my opinion. Most talented, maybe since Elway or Marino. I would go that. I think that's how good Rodgers is. But that team is discombobulated right now. It's not working. So the Jets have a chance to actually win this game. They really have a chance. They're going to get a pissed off Packers team, take the early blows, absorb it, and the longer they stay in that game, the better their chances are. You want to create doubt in that team's mind, and if they do that, they can pull it out late in the fourth quarter.
Yep. And Maddie, so look, most of the time after the game, the post-game show is on Buffalo Jet Fans channel, not mine. That's the Buffalo Jet Fan. But I go live every Wednesday night with Adam. Adam is my co-host. We do a show called the Wacky Wednesday Show at 10 p.m. Eastern. 10 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday night. Plus, I put out lots of videos. So you'll notice I've been putting out like 4 to 5 videos a week. So I put some content out there too. And every once in a while, if you hit that notification bell, I will just jump on and start talking Jets, whether it's on a Friday or a Saturday afternoon or just a random Tuesday night or Monday night. I just randomly jump on and start talking Jets. So there's a lot of content on the channel. Wicker Media, New York, Wicker Media Sports. That's Adam's channel, what we call him Watsuke99. And he not so many live shows. He's more of does the content. He does great Jets content, great Jets analysis, but also does the New York Mets, the Rangers, and the Knicks. So you can get all the New York teams, get all kinds of information. If there's trades, if somebody gets hurt, you can get all of Watsuke will share all that information and give his takes.
And sometimes I'll even do a 15-second short. I even started doing that as soon as I heard the Mets lineup and that Darren Ruff was in it. I gave a quick 15-second reaction. So, some of my videos are relatively long. Sometimes I'll go 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's just how I'm feeling in the mood that day. And hey, when there isn't a whole lot to say, we could keep it to about a minute. We'll just keep it to a minute, whatever it takes. And hey, I definitely want to appreciate. Screw the Braves. I definitely want to thank everybody who takes the time to watch our videos. It really means a lot to us. We love doing these things for you. And the fact that you choose to take your time to watch them, it really does mean a lot to us.
Yeah.
If this guy's a Jets fan and a Braves fan, oh my gosh, that is
what it is.
Crazy. That's quite a combo. It's quite a combo.
He's watching my show and he's saying something good about it.
It's just random. No, it's just like a very interesting combination. That's all I said. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting combination, but I appreciate the comment, and he's right. Zach is.
We do.
Zach has got to keep playing that kind of ball, not Superman ball, but smart ball. I agree with it 100%. And eventually, the Superman will come out of him. Right? If you're playing smart, the Superman will come out. I was hoping for double dipping with Zach Wilson and Conklin. Yeah. Oh, I see what you said. You had him in fantasy. Yeah, Conklin's got to get rid of the bad. He's got to shake off the bad things he's doing.
Yeah.
Because for as much good, he's doing some bad. He's missing some blocks. He's doing and Ojuma, whatever, is missing blocks.
Uzama?
Uzama. He missed a huge block today. Total whiff.
He did miss one. I think it was the play where he missed one and then Ruckert missed it right afterwards. That was the only time I noticed Jeremy Ruckert on the field today. Was when he and Uzama both missed a collective block, and that led to, I believe, I think that was a run play getting blown up, if I remember correctly. I want to say it was a run play. I know the one you mean. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do have to go. I'm glad I was able to get on for this particular show. It's not always easy for me because I got to drive back 30 to 35 minutes from the bar because, with the surrounding atmosphere, this is like the only way I can really do it and do it right. I don't want to have any distractions, and I want to give you guys the best that I can. So glad I was able to make it. And Jeremy, I will see you Wednesday night.
Thanks for coming on, my friend.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. See you soon.
We're gonna wait and hope that Buffalo shows up. He has 7 minutes left before I call it. I really wanted to get Buffalo Jet fans' reaction. So everything New York Jets is here. He's a good guy from Italy. He talks about this. So he's an Italian Jet fan. Italy. He loves Italy. He loves chicken cutlet parmesan. He loves pizza. He loves to talk football. I'm loving this title, Dolphins postgame. Mike McDaniel gets brutally honest on Dolphins' embarrassing loss to Jets 40-17 and Bridgewater injury. He shouldn't, it's interesting that he'd call it embarrassing. I mean, if I'm a Dolphin fan, I'm like, when the Jets were down, we ended up beating Cincinnati. But if we would have gotten crushed by Cincinnati last year, I would have said Mike White, or like we're down to our backup quarterbacks. But, I don't know if it's embarrassing. I mean, I don't know if Miami should be embarrassed. They were very competitive up until they fell apart at the end with a rookie quarterback. I don't know if I would be embarrassed by that, but I'm the coach. It's a good coach. You want a coach like that. You want a coach who responds like that. So, Jay Polo, everyone do the waddle. It's beautiful. We should do the waddle. Huge Johnson said goodbye to Watsu K. Every time I see that name, I laugh. We're getting nervous at the end of the first half. Yeah, we were, man. We were definitely getting nervous at the end of the first half. That's why it's not embarrassing. They hung in there. Oh, it's not Italy Jet. Okay, that's right. That's right. You're right. Okay, man, I always mix it up. Not Italy Jet. I like the way you defend. It's the other house, Liam. Okay, what's up, Liam? Liam, who sleeps on the train while Italy Jet does all the talking. I remember that. You like waved over, you were like sleeping. Green Beans chat went DEFCON 4. There's some crazy things that happened on the chat. Hey, Hugh Johnson, I held it together today, right? You saw me get frustrated when we couldn't stop the run. I stomped down. I was a little angry like a little kid when they scored that rushing touchdown. But that's me. But I pulled it together and I stayed positive. I think that made Green Bean happy. And when I put this jersey on, that's when it really happened. So I'm never allowed to take this jersey off now. Green Bean's going to be like, he told me, because you can't not wear that jersey. Maybe we would have had 4 quarters like that, But Jim Pock is here. Thanks for being here, man. Man. So, yeah. Hey, guys. I think it's about that time. I got to go. Man, with the game and that's over 5 hours I've been on. So, I'm going to go. I've been on since 10 this morning. What California time? It's 3:22. Let's see. 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, over 5 hours. Thanks for everybody for coming. We set a record today for my channel. We had 150 viewers at one point. I appreciate everybody being here. If you could do me a favor, hit the like button on the way out. Much appreciated. Also, if you haven't subbed to the channel, if everybody here is to sub, I know that means I'd pick up a lot more subs. I'm getting closer to 2,000. Really want to hit it by Thanksgiving because that's my 1-year anniversary of the channel. I'd love to get to 2,000 in my first year. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for listening. Everyone have an amazing, incredible rest of your Sunday evening. And I'll see you on Wednesday on the Wednesday Wacky Show. Take care, everybody. I will leave you with this, advertising the Wednesday Wacky Show. This is what you could expect. I would regret it if people look back at the first episode and you weren't on it.
Yeah, well, I like that. It's called forward thinking.
We have one of the worst beats in the world. We do. Our beat is horrible.
Connor could shove that article up his ass.
And then I went to that game and I was like, this is the greatest team I've ever seen in my life. I'm a Jet fan. This is going to be the greatest run ever. Yeah.
No, because if they take Aquanu, I'm not complaining.
Joe Douglas is the king of keeping shit close to the vest.
A 2, a 4, and a 6 for Darnold?
Did the Jets really ruin Sam Darnold? Or did Sam Darnold just suck all along and we were just trying to talk ourselves into it?
And Hamilton is a player who can potentially make a very big impact.
And suddenly here we are today. You can't get rid of him.
Right. It's like a plague.
Joe Douglas was hired because he's not those general managers.
Okay, Luscious.
Somebody is going to fall just like Elijah Moore did, just like Michael Carter did.
What would, if you had one sentence to say to Joe Douglas, what would you say? So you would say, you had me at hello, and then give him a big old wet one right on the smack.